a bit of a sneak peek and a bit of an update as to what's been going on, and I stupidly left the lights on in here, so it's quite good that I came in here. So a couple of weeks ago, you would have noticed, in fact it was last week in fact, we had an issue with our server and we had to do some nips and tucks and tweaks and a few other things to make it look good. And yes, this is a vertical video, and I am, excuse me, I just belched. I am sorry it's a vertical video, but it's a vertical video because I'm running around doing a live stream on my phone, which of course is designed to go this way. So for those of you who haven't seen behind the scenes before, this is the Transport Evolved studio. Michael was setting up for 10 earlier on today, and we had a bit of an emergency at Transport Evolved, which has required Michael to run off and go and do errands. Some very urgent, top secret errands that we're not allowed to talk about yet. But suffice to say, our whole day kind of went a little bit off the rails and things didn't work the way that we had planned. But yeah, this is the Transport Evolved set. You see here, this is the green screen that we use for Transport Evolved. We've got our Godox lights here, so this one's going to have to come back over here. I had to take a surprise photo earlier on, so I was working on that. And so I've been moving things around. Michael's going to come back tomorrow and wonder why things are not where he wanted them to be. So Michael is both Michael and Winter are very good at they like things to be the same. And so they mark places and they do things. But yeah, this is where I stand when I do the coming up on today's show. So you can see that there. But that's really not why I'm doing this stream. Obviously, I'm doing a stream in the evening to talk to you guys. Hello, Steve. This is all the camera gear. You think that we don't have a lot of gear, but in fact we do. These are our fancy lights that give us the coloured, that make us the coloured gels look pretty. We've got some extra gear in here at the moment that doesn't actually belong to the company, but that will be going soon. But that's not what I want to show you. Oh, I'm going to move this iMac back up here. A lot of you have asked if this is in fact real, and I have shown it working on previous videos before. But let's go and show you the server room, which was the big thing that we were working on the other day. Now, a lot of you had said that the server room was very messy, and you'd be right, it was, but we have, in fact, cleaned and tidied and moved things around. We've got all of our cleaning equipment, an old copy of Windows, I don't know why that's in here, some spare networking gear that we've basically outgrown, and the server cabinet, which is where this bad boy lives. The 45 drive server, which does all of the hard work for Transport Evolved. And underneath that is my family server. That's got nothing to do with the business. But this is one, and then we've got another server downstairs which acts as a backup. Obviously this is all of our cabling. We never intended this house to be the base of operations for Transport Evolved. But we have all of our boxes with all of our cables and doodads in the corner. Suitcases for travelling. And most of that is Transport Evolved. So we actually cleaned this out. And the reason we cleaned this out is because... Let me switch around so you can see. We recently, last year, we added a separate breaker because our servers kept tripping the electronics in the house. So this is a breaker that was added last year. This year we need to add air conditioning because this room gets so freaking hot. Yes, I know it's a storage space as well, and I know that's not ideal, especially not with fabric. This will probably go somewhere else, my overalls. But we have a big need for air conditioning, and so I've been saving up money for that. We would like to air condition the whole building. I don't know if that's going to happen though, because the costs associated with it are pretty huge. And we're going to have a separate air conditioning unit for this room to the rest of the house, and that is because summer, winter, this room is always really hot. It's already about 85 degrees in here. It's going to go up to well over 100 unless I open this door, and even with the fans in the door, that is something that we need to work on in the future. So I just wanted to prove to everybody who watched that video a couple of weeks ago that it is much nicer. And when we bought the house, we originally had installed fans in the top and bottom of the door, or rather the top and the bottom of the door. And when it was just the family server closet and we just had our entertainment server in here, it was more than capable of keeping everything cool. But as soon as you add the Transport Evolved servers and all those hard drives, it certainly took a big toll on everything. So I also want to come in here and have a bit of a chat with you about some of the things that have been going on, some of the projects we've got on the way, and also to, I suppose, just answer some questions. That orchid was from my wife for Valentine's Day. Very nice orchid. We really like it. Thank you to everybody who has been really wonderful about all of the amazing content that we've been creating. I'm very, very proud of the team. I spoke to YouTube via Twitter, and YouTube said that you have to hit the notification bell on the YouTube app on your mobile phone as well as on the website in order to make sure that you know when a video is being uploaded. And that's something that we've had lots and lots of trouble with. But we also have had some issues just with people who don't use an app, whether they've got a mobile television, whether they've got a television app instead of a mobile phone app. Sometimes they're not getting notifications. And again, you just have to go through and make sure you hit that button, hit the subscribe button, and make sure that everything gets set up. We are in the process of preparing 10 for tomorrow. And I thought that maybe that would also give you a good idea of, it's quite late in the day. The same thing that got Michael out of the office earlier on also got me out of the office earlier on today. And that means that we are a fair way behind on our prep work and why I'm working later than normal. But I'll show you here. These are just the 40 stories that we've got in our show notes here. And I've now got to go through all of these and make sure they're all good enough to be used for 10. Then I put them into something called, see if I can show you without kind of showing off some of our separate scripts that are still top secret. A DIY mini split, would it work for you? Now, it would, save for one thing. We could use a mini split we could use a DIY mini split, most definitely. But the place where the condenser would live and the place where the server room is are on different sides of the house. It's quite away from one to the other. Now, if it was just me wanting to cool a room, I would totally go a DIY option. But we're talking about air conditioning a server room with $20,000+ worth of computer server equipment in it. And that is my business. So if we break anything or we damage anything or we do anything stupid while installing the AC, we wouldn't be covered. I've just realized a dog licked my glasses earlier and I've got dog lick all over my glasses. That was not a particularly nice thing to do. So we've got all those servers in the other room. Just to give you an idea here, let me bring up my server so you can see what we've got. So you can see exactly what our server looks like. I'm trying to bring it up in my Safari window and it's not letting me. There we go. Let's see if that will open. There we go. So this, I'll wait for it to load. This is the Transport Evolved server. And you'll see that it's got like a huge amount of memory. It's got 16 CPUs, although at the moment it's not doing anything. But in terms of storage, you will see right now we have 345.38 TB of data. 345.38 TB of storage, sorry, and 241 TB of data. Now, I can't remember my TB to, let's do this. So 241 TB to terabytes. We'll see. It is 264 terabytes of storage. So 264 terabytes of storage space. Some of you are saying, I could whisper while typing and I could have an ASMR channel. So I like old school keyboards. This is my old school keyboard here. It's a bit dirty. I apologize. It is a Tactile Pro by Matthias. I love it to pieces. I'm quite a fast typist when I'm typing with both hands, and I can do several, decent clips. I can do a decent clip when I'm typing with both hands. It's how I write scripts. It's how I write emails and do things like that. So anyway, hopefully that will answer your question as to why we are not doing a DIY install on that room, because if I screw up, then everything that is my business is in that room and in the other server that's in a different part of the house. And it would just take forever for us to rebuild it. Transport Evolved is really a business that is based off of the years and years that we've been filming and making videos. And we are struggling a bit at the moment to kind of spread our wings and grow a bit. We're looking for other revenue streams. We need to increase our Patreon support. Right now, our Patreon support is by far our largest income stream, but we need to increase our Patreon from where it currently stands by, let me do the math in my head. We need to increase our Patreon support by about 30%. Increase it by 30%, and then we'll be back to having a really good buffer. Bringing in extra people has helped with our workflow, has helped get things off the ground, but it's meant that we've been tight in other ways. We don't regret it for a moment, because the things we've been able to do with the new team has been, I just wouldn't be able to have done it on my own. So it's kind of that growing pain that we have with businesses. But it brings me to the important thing I also wanted to talk to you about, and kind of this is a second channel thing, I know not everybody will notice this, is the podcast. Lots of people have been asking us to bring back a Transport Evolved podcast. It's something that the team wants to do. It's something that I want to do. It's something that a lot of the audience wants to do. But we are running flat out as a team right now, and we cannot put any more person hours into it without first raising some more capital. So we are looking to raise an additional 30 to 40% in terms of our Patreon supporters, and to expand that so that we then have enough time to increase a couple of staff members' hours, and also to just make sure that we are actually paying a fair wage, and to make sure that we are not pushing ourselves to the limit by bringing the podcast in. Right now, we physically cannot do that, but we are looking to expand that. I don't know if you remember, sorry, I saw a comment go flying past and now I can't see it. If you were willing to mumble whisper typing like that, yes. I don't know if you remember me when emailing about libel in 2020, when you were wondering what to do in regards to reporting that semi company. I was prepping for the bar, so it helped me to help you. Yes, I do remember that. That was great. That was great advice. So I hope you passed the bar. I hope you were all good and everything worked there. But yeah, we need to expand our setup a bit, and hopefully people just hitting that subscribe button on the app and also on the website will help with that. But it will also mean that, we can build things. And I want to be really clear. We want to do the podcast. We can't yet because financially we just can't make it work. We need to pick up some sponsors. We haven't yet signed anyone. We've got a couple of sponsors that we're talking to. If we can do that, if we can expand Transport Evolved that way, congratulations, Mallory, for passing the bar. Well done. If we can expand in that way, then it means that we can do more production work and we can do more stuff. But to give you an idea of how crazy it is sometimes in terms of our workflow, we've just finished, Michael, as you probably can't see it on the board behind there. Michael has just finished editing, I think he's got one more actually, one more video from the Portland International Auto Show, which he's been editing single-handed, and Winter has been colouring single-handed. Monday next week, Michael and I are off to an event. So we're flying down to LA to do potentially 4 different videos in 2 days, which is going to be very busy. We get back, we're here for 3 days. The following week, we are going to be filming the regular everyday stuff, but then we've got an exclusive that we're filming on the Wednesday, and then we've got a car coming for a week, and when a car is here for a week, we are working flat out on that. So sometimes people have been saying to us, why haven't you been covering this news story or this news story like you used to? The reality is that sometimes we just haven't had a chance to. And I don't know if anybody's noticed, but we have started producing videos 1, 2, 3 days ahead and then releasing them hopefully on a more predictable schedule. We're trying to release them in the morning, lunchtime. That's when we're generally releasing. Sometimes we're not getting to do it if it's a breaking news story, but we're trying our hardest to get stuff out. So the Tesla News Roundup, we actually worked on that on Tuesday, pushed it on Wednesday, which is when it's due to drop. The Volkswagen ID Buzz video, I worked on that yesterday. Patreons and supporters got it yesterday. YouTube members, sorry. And everybody else got it this morning. So that will be the same thing for tomorrow. The video that has gone out live today for Patreon supporters and YouTube members is about the Toyota BZ4X or BZ4X. That will go live tomorrow morning, Pacific time, for everybody. So if you want to gain access to our videos a day ahead of others, consider becoming a patron or a YouTube member if you haven't already. You can do that over on the main channel. I know I'm doing this on take 2, but I'm doing this on take 2 because I'm holding the lens like the camera like this, and because it was kind of a behind the scenes thing. There are some really super exciting things coming our way, but we, like, as I say, we are a bit strapped at the moment in terms of resources to make it happen. We want to grow, but we're not able to grow at the speed we want to. So please make sure you don't have ad blockers on when you're watching the YouTube content. Please make sure you like and you comment and you subscribe. Please make sure you share. And we are trying to do our best to make sure that we cover as many bases as possible. Finally, I want to talk to you about something that we've been kind of very clear on lately, and that is, we believe that politics play an important part in the world around us, and for us to intellectually, not intellectually, I suppose intellectually is a good word, for us to intelligently and intellectually cover the world of cleaner, greener, safer and smarter transport, we cannot cover that in a bubble, in a hermetically sealed bubble, and therefore we will be covering things that relate to the EV world in a tangential way. That may include politics. That may include things like acknowledging the horrendous illegal occupation of Ukraine right now by Russian military forces. And it will also include us having company policies that some people may find offensive. We've had an incredible amount of kickback for saying that we are boycotting Texas right now. And that's because for any member of our team to go to Texas would be less safe than it would be for us to be in other US states right now. And unfortunately, there are a growing number of states in the US where legal protections for LGBTQ folk are being pushed back. And I know some people have said, oh, well, it's just trolls. Forget the trolls, ignore them. They don't have, we love you and just ignore people. They're just being mean. And yeah, if it's some, excuse my language, some dickhead in the comments section who is saying mean and nasty things, that's very different to a politician who has political sway, who is in an elected office, who is trying to legalize, or not legalize, to legislate certain people out of existence. I mean, what's been going on with Florida right now is abhorrent, with the Don't Say Gay bill, trying to legislate out certain discussions, things like critical race theory, things like discussing slavery and its impact on American society. It has a big impact on American society even to today. Trying to stop those discussions is not a smart way of moving forwards. And hey, the channel's tagline is cleaner, greener, safer, and smarter. We cannot advocate for a cleaner, greener, safer, and smarter world if we do not also advocate for a cleaner, greener, safer, and smarter way of thinking, way of doing, way of being. And that means bigotry and hate has no place on the channel. And so I think we have lost a lot of subscribers because we've been willing to touch on those topics. We're not going to stop touching on those topics, but at the same point, it has hurt us financially. And I'm not willing to be someone who I don't want to be like Disney, right? Disney is, oh yeah, we support gay rights, but we're not going to say Florida is wrong. That is not how that's not how we believe that the world should exist. If you have a problem with the way something's being done, you either have a problem with it or you don't, and you either speak up about it or you tacitly support or agree with something. And so therefore, we as a company are trying to be better in everything we do. Sometimes we fail, sometimes we screw up, but it's something that we are all very passionate about as a queer owned and led team. We didn't set out to be a queer team, but we've just become, I guess it's just happened that way. And so it's important that the views of the company reflect the views of everybody in the company. And sometimes we disagree about stuff. We all have different personal political views, but there are things we can agree on, and things like ensuring that things work. It's very important. Decision. Blood batteries, why we need to talk about cobalt in your electric car. 17,000 views. Yeah. That video did very well. And we've noticed in the last couple of years, and again, it's very not cool for me to say this, but as there has been a noticeable shift in certain groups within the EV industry and certain people within the EV industry, people who have a lot of sway, moving towards certain political opinions. We have seen things that we used to be able to very freely talk about become stuff that we are criticized for and stuff that is considered taboo. And so we have no intention of stopping, but we also need to grow. And it is something that I think we are all working to do on the channel. We're working to achieve, and we're working to make a better world for everybody. So that's literally everything I wanted to say and talk to you all about. Like I say, that beautiful orchid behind me is wonderful. We are preparing, as I say, for a cool trip next week. If you want to tip us to help with the costs associated with some of the incidentals for the trip, I mean, the flight is being paid for by one of the companies we're seeing, but also we've had to hire a car because I said, how are we going to get from the airport to our hotel? And then how are we going to do the other things that we were going to do? And they were like, well, you could get an Uber. We're like, we're not really getting an Uber, thanks. So we're hiring a Tesla next week for a day. We're going to test out the Hertz Tesla rental system. We're going to make a video on that. So I think that's a fair enough thing. I'm not going to tell you the other two places that we are going to, but nudge, nudge, wink, wink. One of them does involve LA and one of them does involve not LA, in the environs. So maybe you can figure out where we're heading and what we're doing. But yeah, we are going to be very excited about that. Car rental fees are positively shocking right now. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, and I think I got a special deal because of when I booked it and everything else. And of course, renting an EV is going to be a lot easier for us. It's going to be a lot better. We don't have to worry about gas money. And right now, obviously, gas in California is extremely high. So, you know, and I can prove that I am not allergic to Teslas by driving one for a couple of days. I'm more than happy to do that. So there we have it. That is everything that's going on right now. If you want the podcast to happen, put your money where your mouth is. Help us grow our Patreon support by 30%. We need at least a 30% growth in our Patreon support for us to be able to financially afford it. Because, you know, as I've said, right now I'm not paying myself. And that needs to change before we take more stuff on board. So there you go. Thanks for joining me, and we will talk again soon. Let me know if you like this. I know that a lot of you like the Saturday morning chat where we talk about a lot of the things that we've been up to and the things we've been doing, and also corrections if we made any mistakes in 10. That may or may not happen on a regular basis. I don't want to commit to doing that every weekend because obviously, again, I need downtime when I'm not in front of a camera. But yeah, let me know. Anyway, thanks for joining me, and as always, keep evolving.